Kimba, you tantalizing temptress in the wonderfully tight t-shirt. Kimba, baby.
Hi, it's me, Kimba. Radio broadcast season 6, episode 2, rock and roll fantasy. If you ever wish that you could jam with your favorite rock star or just hang out and chit chat about music, there is a guy who tapped into that wish and made it a reality for 30 years running. It's called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and it's coming to Miami April 23rd through the 26th. Joining me to talk about this bucket list, one-of-a-kind, life-changing experience is the founder of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, David Fishof, the man who makes rock and roll dreams come true.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you. If I get a call to a safe room, I'll let you know. I just went to a safe room just now.
Oh, that's daunting.
It's great.
Is this, am I correct, is this your 70th rock camp? In 30 years, you've done 70 of them?
I've done more than that.
Oh, it's even more than that now.
Yeah, maybe 70. No, if you just 30 times. No one ever
Do
asked me
carry
that,
the one.
Yeah, I don't care. 70's fine. 70's good.
Sure. Okay. I would highly recommend to anyone watching or listening to us right now to watch the Rock Camp documentary. Not only does it show you what you'll experience and really give you the nuts and bolts of it, but it also gives you the background of your very varied and storied career and the impetus, how you came up with this idea, which is at both hysterical and terrifying all at once. It's a good thing you have a sense of humor. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's under 2 hours.
And Amazon Prime also. It's free on Amazon Prime.
Yes. Before we talk about the creamy nougat center of what's going to happen in Miami, April 23rd through the 26th at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, I'm going to ask you this question, but then I'm going to tell you why I'm asking. So it's going to be a little long-winded. I was going to ask you how you knew this would work, because now, looking back 30 years later, it's successful, so we know it does. Now there are rock and roll cruises where rock stars are almost trapped on a vessel with fans. They can't escape in a limousine. There was, for the longest time, this dynamic between rock stars and fans where the rock star would be on stage and the fan would be in the audience. And even if you did meet and greets, time was you'd mingle a little bit in a big room.
There were meet and greets. When I started, there were meet.
And then when there was, you'd be in a room with them for a short amount of time. And then now it's relegated to you stand in a line, you go take a picture, you leave. And you might be able to say, hi, how are you? 30 years ago, how did you know that this would, because other than running into a rock star at a restaurant or somewhere out in public and maybe stealing a picture with them, there was no way to know how this interaction would be.
Kimba, I love that you brought that up, and because I will share one thing. I went on tour with Ringo. When I created the tour, I bring people to backstage, friends of mine. He said, "Oh, I'm not meeting anybody," but he'd be stuck meeting all my friends. But you're right; these artists never met people. And I was on a tour, so I got the idea when I went on tour with Roger Daltrey. I created a tour called the British Rock Symphony. It was a record that I produced. Your listeners should pick up this record. It's on Apple, Spotify. It's probably the greatest record that no one ever heard. It's the music of the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and the Who that I put to symphonic. I used the Who band. Roger Daltrey sings on it, and Nancy Wilson sings on it, Ann Wilson sings on it, Nigel Kennedy, Paul Rogers. It's an incredible record.
Oh, it's a bunch of hacks.
It was symphonically. It was before Roger went out on the tour with a symphony with the Who. I loved it, and I worked really hard on it. I did a tour with Roger Daltrey, and I wasn't doing well. Tickets were not selling. People in this country didn't get it. They didn't understand it. They didn't understand symphonic rock. Whereas in Europe, in Antwerp, they do 90 nights called the Proms. It's very popular in Germany, in England, in France. The Proms are the biggest. They sell out all the time. It's symphonic rock with special guest stars. So I decided I was taking Roger on the tour, and then I realized tickets weren't selling well. So I came up with an idea to do a meet and greet. You could meet Roger Daltrey. You'll get a signed poster. And I used the tickets that, you get the promoters, they give you 25, 30 tickets. So I would take those tickets and I would upsell them for meet and greets. And I'll never forget the promoter in Atlanta. He looked at me, he said, "Man, I can't believe you bring these 15 people backstage." And he saw that I was charging $2,000. Well, I had to make money. So no one was doing these meet and greets.
Right.
No one ever, they never met people. I'd say, Roger, I got 20 friends coming tonight. You mind? It's really nice. But meanwhile, I was selling those spots because I had to make money for the tour. You're right. With Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, not only did these people not meet them, they did. Now you can ask them to jam with them. So it was interesting, and I got turned down by a lot of people when I first came up with the idea. And but I went to people that I knew, and I gave them my idea that I did. I went to Mike Love of the Beach Boys. I went to Mark Farner, people that I used on my Ring All-Star band, and said, "Would you do that?" With the Clarence Clemens, and they all thought it was really cool. So we did the first one. But the first one was a bust. And then I decided to do it again. And it's worked for rock and roll, because in rock and roll, the rock stars run out of the shows. You never see them. Like you said, maybe you'll see them in a supermarket if you live in that town.
Yeah.
But why hasn't Country Fantasy Camp worked? Because I remember going to an Oprah show with my daughter. She begged me to take her to meet Oprah. I go to the show, and the show was themed country music stars. And she had Keith Urban, she had Hootie on, and I forget, she had Brad Paisley on. And she said to Keith Urban, what was the first rock concert you went to? He said, I went to an Aerosmith show. And the next question, she said to him, you ever see your fans? And Keith Urban said, I love my fans. I love my fans. They come to my bus, can hug me, kiss me. These country stars, they meet their fans.
Right. They've already got the interaction.
And then he said, I would do anything to have met Steven Tyler. I noticed all my years of touring with Ringo, we never met anyone. When I tried doing country stars doesn't work, Country Fantasy Camp. Right. But rock and roll stars, they do. Did I ever think it would go this long? No, never thought it would go this long.
Right. Well, I'm going to grab it right now. I did meet Steven Tyler. I don't know if you can see
that. Yeah, I see it. Oh, wow, that's a meeting.
It was a great meeting that I would like him to be assigned as my personal counselor, just in general, just in general. Right. But that's another story for another time. Are there any rock stars that artists that that you just know, I'm never going to ask them to do this because that would not work? You don't have to name names.
I'll name names because they're dead now, so they can't come back and say anything. No, funny story. Peter Tork of the Monkees was my client. We were very good friends, and he called me up one day and he said, David, I want to do the camp. I love what you're doing. Things like that. I said, Peter, it's not meant for you. You're a wonderful guy, and he really is the sweetest guy. But the fans, you get nervous when these fans will come over to you all the time and ask you for autographs and pictures. No. I like to teach music. I said, it's more than teaching music. They're going to ask you questions. Mm-hmm. And he freaked them out. And I'll never forget, the guy from the London Times said to me one day, he said, who's your worst counselor? I said, Peter Tork. Hit all the news in London. And then I saw him about 2 weeks later. He says, you said I was the worst counselor. Why did you say that? I said, because you were, Peter. Your personality didn't lend for it. So it needs someone whose personality likes the fans, likes musicians. And that's what makes it different. And then
it's the music that's the conduit that makes it.
Conduit, right. The worst of the worst was David Crosby. He just took my money and didn't jam with the fans like he promised. But I have to say that 99.9% of these rock stars that come to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp come because they get it. They wish, Gene Simmons said, I wish I had this 50 years ago when I first started. I think that Jerry Cantrell, amazing. He shows up to camp and I said, Jerry, I have food for you in the green room. And he said, no, I'm going to sit down here with the people. What it does for Roger Daltrey, why he keeps doing it, is it reminds them what it was like when they first started. And these rock stars have met their best friends at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. They're meeting people that they've never met before. Mark Farner from Grand Funk. There was a time when Mark had an issue, a financial issue, because of Grand Funk was mixed into these tax shelters, all this stuff. And said to a camper, he said, I love Mark Farner. He's my idol. As a lot of people have told me that over the years. And I said, no, why don't you help him out? You're a lawyer, you're an accountant, and you can help him out. And he did. Now Mark plays in his band whenever he wants. And so these rockers have come to camp for 30 years. I would never be in this business this long if they didn't love it. And I think that's what's great about Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Yes, the musician loves it. He gets to play with his idol. But the rock stars love it. They look forward to coming and to meeting these incredible people because they're musicians. They're vocalists like they were. So that's what makes the camp so much fun.
To the Miami camp, which is April 23rd through the
Yeah.
26th. And the headliners are Sir Roger Freakin Daltrey, which I believe is his given middle name, Freakin.
Freaking, yeah.
And he's been an advocate, like you said, and a cheerleader, and he's done multiple
Yeah.
camps. And also Simon Townsend from The Who will be there. Steve
He's done.
Morse from
He's
Deep
done a
Purple,
bunch of camps, loves to teach.
Dixie Dregs,
Love,
and he's, by the way, he's a University of Miami alumnus. He's a Hurricane, so he's going to fit right in Miami. Simon Kirk, drummer, Bad Company Free. That is one of my all-time favorite bands.
so
So
these
those are
guys.
the headliners.
Every day another headliner comes in and you get to jam with them.
So there's surprise guests that sometimes show up.
Yeah. I like to surprise people. I like to freak them out. It makes it fun.
And then there's counselors, Gary Hoey, Derek St. Holmes, Vinny Appice, and more.
Yeah, more. And they stay for 4 days. They literally take a band for 4 days. So, I mean, to get in a band with Derek St. Holmes for 4 days or Gary Hoey, the knowledge that they give you, yes, people come because they want that picture with Roger Dolce. They want the jamming with Roger Dolce. What really keeps up Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp are those people like Gary Hoey and Derek St. Holmes. They keep up. They're the ground floor of the building. They teach these people so much, and they share with everybody at camp, and they give master classes, and the knowledge that you get from them is just incredible.
You can be any skill, complete beginner to an expert musician. You can be any age, you can be any gender. It doesn't matter, because once they sign up for rockcamp.com, you can assess their skills and you put them with their counselors and decide what
Right.
bands they're going to
Yeah,
go into.
Britt Lighting is our musical director. She's a guitar player in Vixen, the lead guitar player. Britt's amazing. She knows how to put these bands together. It's interesting with the counselors. You get a guy like Spike Edney, who's done many of my camps, and he's the musical director of Queen. And he'll tell me, give me the worst band. I'll make them the best band. And then I would get someone like the late Alan White from Yes, who did my camps all the time. He'd say, David, I need to have my music's very hard, so give me the best musicians you can. It's all about coaching. It's like a football team. Why does Bill Belichick win every year? And some guys can never win
Don't
because
remind me.
you have to know how to put a team together.
So you jam, and then you do 2 shows at rock clubs in South Florida. And
Yeah,
that's
I know.
open to the public?
Open the public. And you get to play the Funky Biscuit with Simon Townsend. And many times the rock stars show up. My first camp, Roger stayed for the first camp. He stayed for 3 days. And then after singing, had so much fun. He said, where are they performing? And he jammed with every band at the bottom line. I've had a lot of surprises. And
just
again,
looking
it's
at the
fun.
song list from the band, to think that you could potentially sing, or because I play a bad kazoo, so I can't talk instruments, but I sing Love, Rain O'er Me with Daltrey, or play Burn with Morse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
favorite Deep Purple song, or any Bad Company and Free song. Just going down the list of songs that you can do. And there's different packages too. If you're a beginner,
It's all the same pricing, but if you're a beginner package, I just want you to be assured that we're going to put you in a beginner band, and you shouldn't be intimidated. Certain songs from certain artists are easier to play than others, so those are the songs you'll focus on.
I love the names of the add-on packages, cracked me up, like Groupie, Road Crew. You can also get a photographer or a videographer to follow you around throughout the camp if you want to document it. You definitely get a download of your final performance at the final show.
Right.
Discount rates for the hotel, which a lot of them are staying at, so you could run into them at the pool or the
Yeah, and
bar.
everyone stays in hotels. Yeah, and you live with them in the hotel. What's interesting is the groupie package. So for Tommy Lee,
boy.
it's so many. The women are signing up, telling their husband, "You're going to rock camp because I'm coming as your groupie. I'm beating Tommy Lee." I never saw so many women sign up for Tommy Lee.
That add-on comes complete with a hazmat suit. I'm just saying.
Kimba, I got to share with you, in the last 20 years, the biggest difference I've seen at rock camp are the women guitar players, the women bass players, the women drummers. There's more females coming into these bands now than ever. We do women's only camps too. Every year we do one. We do songwriting camps. More women are coming into Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. It's fun to watch them.
I have to say, to watch the documentary Rock Camp, because it really shows you what a fantastic experience everybody has. I remember Nancy Wilson from Heart saying how I know about everybody's mother and father and family. Like I learned about everybody. So
The film is timeless. It's great. It took us 5 years to make and went through a lot of footage. But Doug Blush, he produced 20 Feet from Stardom, and that was my favorite documentary. So
great documentary.
yeah, he did a great job on this one too.
It's April 23rd through the 26th, and you can find out everything, all the stuff we're talking about at rockcamp.com.
Right.
It being the 30th anniversary, I looked that up. I said, what is the 30th anniversary? It's Pearl, which I thought, oh, if you're a drummer, this is going to be the year for you.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. That's a good one. I have a new movie coming out.
Ooh.
It's called The Bridge. And it's about 10 Israeli musicians that I brought to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And it was produced by Kevin Bright, the executive director of Friends TV series. And you're going to hear a lot about that coming up soon. It's called The Bridge, and it really talks about how the healing, how these people came. They were victims of October 7th, and they healed through rock and roll at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Quite a great film. And we're just now, I'm waiting to hear from a lot of the festivals have asked us to come. So we're trying to, but you'll be hearing a lot about that next year.
It's just proving once again that music and rock and roll, we're just one big family.
It is one big family. Yep.
And when you connect that conduit of music, there be nothing but joy, nothing but goodness comes out of it.
Incredible. And I'll leave you a funny story. Joe Perry says to a camper, one day, he says, "What do you do for a living?" And the guy says, "I'm a lawyer, and on weekends I play guitar in my band." And he turns to me and says, "You're full of crap." He says, "You're a guitarist first. You do all that legal BS to pay for your guitars." So that's our campers. They're really musicians in their heart of hearts.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me from Israel.
Yeah.
On location.
I haven't had to go to the bomb shelter, so
stay safe.
I'm safe, yeah.
You're going to show up April 23rd for...
I can't wait. I'll be there. Yes, I will be there. I go to all my camps. Kimba, the most exciting thing about 30 years is I am as enthusiastic about producing Rock Camp the first year as I am the 30 years. I love changing these people's lives, and that's really the payoff. When these people call, when the wife calls and tells you that my husband doesn't have road rage anymore, or he's got a band and he's traveling, and he's just the happiness, or the young lady who's now drumming in Eagles of Death Metal because she came to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Yeah, the opportunities. One of my campers last week was on with Linda Perry, turned to her at camp and says, "Why don't you sing background with me on Jimmy Kimmel?" I mean, the stuff that happens at camp is it's mind-boggling. I
should add that you're treated like a rock star, I should say. When you go to the fantasy camp, totally. You're treated kind of equal to all the musicians, and
100%. I treat them up. My philosophy is I treat all my campers as Ringo, and I even tell the rock stars it's about them. We always have a conversation before camp. It's about them and giving these campers the life-changing experience, and that's why they keep coming back.
Hence why it's called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. So rockcamp.com is where you go. David Fishof, the founder, the creator, the life changer, the bucket list check offer, all those things.
The bucket list, it sure is.
For sure. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Kim, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Again, I highly recommend that you watch Rock Camp, which you can find on YouTube and watch for free. You'll get the vibe of the whole thing. It's coming to Miami April 23rd through the 26th, and you can find out all the details at rockcamp.com. Thank you so much for being one of Kimba's herd, and thanks for listening to me, Kimba. Radio Broadcast Season 6, Episode 2, Rock and Roll Fantasy.
Cause Kimba's on the radio. Kimba!